Okay, let me go to Senator Rand Paul, who wants to cut aid to Pakistan. And may I just say, that's not actually a word, but
is that the sound of one hand clapping?
that's four hands clapping. That's four hands clapping. You know what? I'd like to ask you, A, what are the odds of getting this done? And B, can we add Egypt to that list?
Well, we already tried Egypt earlier this year, and we didn't win, but we did get those 16 American citizens released who they were trying over there in a political show trial. Sort of the object here, again, is to bring attention to the idea that we've got needs at home, that we don't need to be sending billions of dollars overseas. But really, the point of this is to free Dr. Shaquille Afridi, and he's the doctor who helped us get information to get bin Laden. He has an appeal on July 19th, and if he's freed, I've told him I won't force the vote. But I have 16 signatures from other senators now, which is supposed to allow me to force a vote, even if Harry Reid doesn't want to allow the vote. But here's the problem. The president this week, through Hillary Clinton, just gave him an extra $1 billion. We give them $2 billion in foreign aid. She found an extra $1 billion in the Defense Department, and it's like, I thought we were having trouble with the sequester and defense and military spending. She just took an extra $1 billion out of the Defense Department and gave it to Pakistan.
What is happening, Rand? You look at the president just had in the Oval Office Muslim Brotherhood. Then he brought in a terrorist, a guy who's on our watch list for Homeland Security, and met with him about freeing the blind sheik. He's inviting the guy who is calling for Sharia law and a caliphate, who's the new president of Egypt. Look how this doctor that you're trying to get freed. They sold him down the river. He helped him, and then they turned him over.
Well, and here's the question, is how did his name become public? It's from some leak. Who leaked his name? And I think that's treason to leak the name of somebody who helped us. It also doesn't help in getting any more informants if you find out, if you help America, that someone's going to leak your name to make them look good in Time magazine.
Hold on just a second. I want to give you the opportunity to take that word back. Unless you meant it. You said you think somebody leaking his name was treason.
I think if you leak the name of an informant, that would be treason. I don't know who did leak the name, but I would say that if you leak the name, if I work for the CIA or I work for the military or I'm a U.S. Senator, I'm privileged to information occasionally. If I give that information up, that's something that goes against what your country stands for, and that's treason. You should not, and it threatens people's lives around the world. You should not be allowed to release the name of informants, and anybody who would do so really should be prosecuted.
Okay, let me talk to you about something else. May I change the subject? Do you have anything else on the Pakistan thing? How can people help?
Call your senators. Even half the Republican senators aren't supporting me on this. When you talk about foreign aid, about 27 Republicans say foreign aid, yay, we'll send more if we can. About 20 of us say we're bankrupt and it doesn't make any sense to borrow money from China to send it anywhere just about around the world. And that's where it breaks down, so we can't even win the Republican vote.
Can I ask you, for Egypt, I know you did this earlier, but now we know the Muslim Brotherhood is in charge. Now we know that everything, the BBC has admitted it, the New York Times has admitted it, that we need to reevaluate our friends. Now you have the left in the New York Times and the BBC coming out and saying, wow, we were wrong on this. You now have evidence that these guys are enemies of Israel, enemies of the United States. They're going for Sharia law. You can't bring that up again?
Well, we will. But the interesting thing is when you poll this with the American public, 80% of the American public would cut off aid to Egypt tomorrow. I'm one of them. But when you poll this in the U.S. Senate, 80% of the U.S. Senate wants to continue foreign aid. So
don't really care. Honestly, Rand, I don't care about, and neither do the American people. We're so done with the American Senate. We're so done with the American House. We're so done with the White House. We're so done with it. We want people to listen to us. How can we convince people like you to show us the path to be able to get these things done?
You don't have to convince me. I'm fighting every day for the votes. But
no. I'm saying, how do we convince you to show us how to do it, just to bypass these crazy clowns in power right now, and mobilize the power of the American people to show them who's in charge?
Well, if you have 100,000 people show up in Dallas at the end of the month, that'll send a message. We need a rally in Washington of 100,000 or 200,000 people again like we had in 2009. If those rallies come again, they're saying the Tea Party's dead, the movement's dead, everybody's content with their government now. If we have 100,000 people on the mall in September saying we can't send millions and billions of dollars overseas to the Muslim Brotherhood, I think you'd see a transformation up here, and you might see some changes in the election. But people have to get out of their comfort zone, off their sofa, out from behind their TV, and they have to come to these rallies again.
Well, I will tell you that we don't have the upper level of the Dallas Cowboy Stadium sold out because of sound issues. It wasn't made for the spoken voice. It's just mush. But we have the field sold out, and all of the other levels, except for the very top, completely sold out of Dallas Cowboy Stadium. And I guarantee you, Rand, that's never been done before. Nobody has ever done this before. And I guarantee you it won't make a blip on the radar for those in Washington. But I guarantee you those people in Washington that aren't listening to people and aren't recognizing this, they will find themselves in the unemployment line they are now helping to create because their days are numbered. Their days are numbered in Washington.
Well, here's how you make a difference. If you want to make a difference when you got 50,000 people there, why don't you introduce my buddy Ted Cruz to your 50,000 friends, and that might put him over the top for the election.
Well, I do know this, that FreedomWorks has the event, and I think you're coming. FreedomWorks has the event on the Thursday night at American Airlines Center, which is, what is that, 20,000 people?
Yeah, right around there.
And Ted is going to be introduced there, and he's going to speak there, and I think you are. The event on Saturday is...
I'm supposed to be there if the voting permits. I'm supposed to be there. But you're right. You can make a difference. You have had an effect with your books, your radio, your TV, and I don't think we have to care too much whether the mainstream media knows that 50,000 people or 60,000 people are there. But those people know they're there, and if they get out and vote, it makes a difference.
They really will. Okay, let me... the House, let me just go to this real quick. The House voted for full repeal yesterday of Obamacare. Now what?
Well, Harry Reid will try to prevent us from having the vote here. We will fight to try to have the vote here, and we'll see where it comes. Sometimes we win those battles and we get the vote, but sometimes we don't even get the vote or any debate at all. And it's very difficult to actually even get on the floor. Every minute and every second of the floor is controlled by Harry Reid. I can't go down there at any point in time and get recognized without his permission. So whether we have a vote or not, I don't know. But he doesn't want the vote to happen because he's got 5 or 6 or 7 vulnerable senators who live in states that hate Obamacare and want it defeated, and he doesn't want to put them out there to vote again for it.
Okay, there is. I was just asked by Mark Davis. He's a radio show host here in Dallas. I did an interview with him today, and he said, "Who would you put as the VP?" And quite honestly, because I didn't think that you would ever do it, I didn't put your name on that list. And there's only one name on that list right now. It's the governor of Puerto Rico, only because I'd love to see the left go crazy. But you know what really would make everybody crazy is putting your name on that. And that would make, I think, that would make people like me an absolute zealot for Mitt Romney. Because if we have a small government guy as the VP, please, yes, please. A, do you think he would ever do it? Have you talked to him about it? And would you do it?
You know, I've had a private conversation with him a couple of weeks ago, and we didn't talk specifically about that. But what I would say is that I think that it is important to energize your base. The base of the Republican Party are conservatives, small L libertarians, those who believe in limited government. If they are not excited and 2 or 3% of them stay home, you don't win either. So I think he's already attracting sort of the middle and the independents. He needs to motivate his base. And so my advice is basically that I think he needs someone who will motivate the conservative base.
Which is who?
Oh, Glenn, I can't answer that. That's
no. I mean, let's say I didn't hear that you had a conversation and you said that. I'm saying that. Let me. Hey, who do you think? Completely unrelated to your conversation with Mitt Romney.
Yeah, no, I don't really know who it will be, but I think it has to be someone who energizes the base. If it's someone who is sort of a bland part of the middle, I think that's a mistake. And I think Sarah Palin's pick with McCain, wasn't enough for a victory, but it certainly motivated the base.
Sure did.
And I think you need something like that.
It helped me pull the lever for John McCain. I wanted to hang myself pulling the lever for John McCain. But I looked at it and I'm like, okay, well, maybe Sarah Palin, I mean, you know, she's a tiger mom or whatever the hell she called herself. I mean, that'll help me a little bit. I mean, having somebody like you as the VP would absolutely make me say, I'm in. I am in 100%. And I'm still going to go vote, but I'm going to drag my feet to the...
Well, I think what people need and what you need to motivate and excite the young people of our country is they need someone who they believe is genuine, someone who truly believes in what they're saying, and someone who would truly transform things. And I think most politicians just are not believable because they're not genuine and they'll tell you anything you want to hear.
Okay.
And I think if we could get to that, I think that we can win the election.
Okay, let me ask you real quick. Just, I mean, I'm in fantasy world, I know, but... Let's just say that you haven't talked to your father, so you have no inside information. Is there a chance Mitt Romney would ever appoint your father as the head of the Treasury?
You know, I don't think so.
Say it like you don't really know.
Well, the one thing we are working hard, and the one thing I can tell you that I spoke with Governor Romney about is auditing the Fed. And he supports the concept, and we'd really like him publicly to support the bill. The House committee passed it by voice vote the other day, auditing the Fed, and I think the full House will pass it. I think if Governor Romney would come out for it, it would help him to get a lot of my father's supporters on his side if he would actually come out and be for the Ron Paul audit the Fed.
It sure would. Okay, thank you very much, Rand. I appreciate all your work. I appreciate the fact that you are one of the good guys, and you're standing against all odds, and I hope that you retain your soul being there in Washington, and you remain the guy who you really are.
Thanks a lot, Glenn.
You bet. Bye-bye. Rand Paul.